back. Welcome back. To an athlete journey. I'm your host, Travis Reed. Today we're getting into part two. Getting into season two of season that is out already. And we talked about the whole crazy year of being overseas in Holland, but like going to Bogota, Colombia. Just to recap, we'll just recap a little bit. Went to Bogota, Colombia, then Warsaw, Poland. Um, After Warsaw, went to France. After France, went to Belgium, and ended up in Holland. And making $1,500 a month, and just struggling for everything. Everything was a struggle in my first year. So, but turning it up into a success story where I was statistical player of the year, which kind of means like offensive MVP because I averaged like 20 points and 10 rebounds. I was the only player doing that in the league. My rookie year, made obviously all league, all import team, big, center of the year, all that stuff. So forward of the year rather. So yeah, so it turned out to be a great year. Learned a lot, met Terrence Stansberry of NBA. So, former Terrence. If anybody don't know who Terrence Stansberry is, look him up. Statue of Liberty dunk, Terrence Stansberry. He created it. 1985 dunk contest. So yeah. But also wanted to talk about just like just that whole year, just kind of recapping. And so yeah, and this went to the semifinals, lost to the eventual champions, came home late May, not that much money. Stayed at my ex-girlfriend house at that time, my girlfriend house at the time, for a couple months, looking for a job. Was broke by the end of the summer, was ready to go back. But we'll get into season two starting now. But before we get into this, you can, we'll say this in the beginning of the episode. You can follow me at Travis W. Reed. That's REED, Travis W. on Instagram and Facebook. I post all my social media on both sites. You'll know when everything's coming out. We got the website is coming pretty soon. We have the book that's coming sooner as well. And we just got a lot of things going on. Also, new merch, new everything. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on for people. So, like I said, just be ready for everything that's going on. But back to the story, like I said, the beginning of season two. So we start off in May. Like I said, I have a Dutch agent at the time. And having a Dutch agent, like he wants to send me back to the country where he's at. So pretty much, he tells me, I like, look, man, I want to get to Belgium. I want to get to, France. I want to get to all these bigger countries where I think I can play. He said, oh yeah, Travis, no problem. So how much money you want to make? Well, I made $1,500, so I'm looking to make 8,000. Then I'm just throwing out a number. I probably said 10, but I don't think that was realistic. But so he said, okay, I'll look for it. So I get back in May. I don't call him until June. Like, hey, have you got anything? Excuse me. Have you got anything? And he's like, no, nothing yet. Oh, okay. So you don't have it. No, no, no. There's a couple bites here, possibly Belgium, possibly here, da da da, but nothing, right? Okay. Okay. Well, what can you do? Then I call him again, no answer. So this is like the mid-June. Uh, so by then, you know, I didn't make a lot of money, so my money's kind of running low. I'm helping my ex at the time with some of her, with a couple bills here and there, covering the rent and all that stuff. So, like, because I'm only staying there because at that time I didn't have enough money to stay. I didn't want to go home, and I just didn't have enough money to get an apartment and all that other stuff. So, excuse me. But that's pretty much what happened with that. Now, I get a call from my agent, beginning of July. And he's like, Travis, like, I can't get you to Belgium, period. I'm just like, you can't, it's July. He said, well, yeah, well, there's a team in Holland that wants you to play with them, you know. And I was like, well, what about my old team? Because I want to go back to Donbass, my old team. They're offering you 3,200 a month. And I'm just sitting like 3,200 a month. Now, yes, that's double what you made. Yes, it is double what I made, but I feel like my skills is beyond 3,200 a month. Okay. Well, he presents that, as a low ball. Like, well, there's another team that's willing to pay you 4,500 a month. And I'm like, that's triple your money than what she did. I'm just like, oh my God. So you sure it's nothing in, Belgium, France, any of the close countries. I'm trying to get back because that's high level basketball overseas. So he was like, nah, nothing open. I'm like, well, you could wait and chance it, or you can take this money now. And that's how agents work. See, there's a budget for every team for European or, for foreign players. And so, like, let's say the budget's 150,000. Right? Now, being in the budget is 150,000. An agent can be like, okay, he has a, they have to show the list of the players that he's representing. So let's just say he has 20 players, right? Now, it's nice to have two players in Spain and two players in Italy, two players in, Russia, but it's bad to have, 10 players not playing and they're just waiting on you. They're waiting on a call from you. So every agent wants his player list sheet, essentially, to be filled up with names of players that are playing places. That's what players like to see. Like, does he have players who are playing, not players who are sitting? So, in that 150,000, he rather have five guys take the deal of making 30,000 a month. I mean 30,000 a year rather than two players making 75,000. You know. Now think about that. You could be worth 75,000, and you could be worth even more than that. But they'll lowball you enough to make you think you're lowball to where like, nah, you better take this deal because ain't no other deals gonna be coming. You can chance it, but they play on your desperation. So you don't want to chance it because once there's a window to like October, right? Essentially, and that's when the season starts. So then you can't. You then if you don't make it into overseas at that window by October when the season starts, you have to wait all the way to December for that league or like a European league because they can't switch out players unless people get injured until December. So you just be like, man, I can't wait till December. I'll be super broke, right? So you figure like this by July you're fine. By August you're still okay if you have a little money. By September you're not panicking, but you're getting there. By the end of September you're like, yo, I need a job. So you need to get over because I need to get over there in enough time to kind of get me in some shape, or at least like basketball. I mean, you're in shape if you're working out, but like real game shape. Um, so or at least get adjusted to the overseas. 'Cause it's hard to fly 14 hours, play a game, and then really just do your best. But they do that. Sometimes they even do that. Like sometimes they'll fly you over there on a Saturday or on a Thursday, and then you got to play. Essentially Saturday. You might get there Thursday night, midnight. You get up, practice Friday, and then you come back home, go to sleep. Then you play Saturday. And not only are you you're gonna play like the best team in the league. I remember when I was in Holland that first year, I practiced with the team for just like 2 days, 3 days, and then we ended up playing the eventual champions of the league that year. Now we got smashed by 30, but like I told you before, I had a good game and I scored a lot of points. Now this year, I'm thinking like I was statistical player of the year. I made all imports team, and the import team is like the top. five players in the country. So I was the top five player in the country. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm about to make a gang of money. So, like I said, I didn't have a lot of money saved because I didn't make a lot of money. Um, and so, money was getting low, real low. And it's, like I said, July. And I'm just like, okay. So what's this other team that's want to give me 4,500? At first I wouldn't have said nothing, but he was like, well, okay, I'll tell you. It's the coach is a legendary coach, yada yada. He saw you play in the Christmas tournament because I had to stay for Christmas because we had a tournament that I won. I didn't win. We didn't win a championship. We lost in the semifinals, but I made all tournament team or whatever. And it was like a prestigious tournament because we won like 2-3 games. We ended up winning, like third place or whatever it was. So we ended up playing in it and missing, Christmas, like I said. Um, but the whole thing about it was a situation where he saw me play. So anyway, the coach name was Tone Boat. He's like the Phil Jackson of overseas of Holland, not overseas, but of Holland because he won like 15 or 16 championships. Okay, so over the years, and he had just won four in a row in Holland, and then he took a year off. Then he signed in the city I was supposed to go to, this city called Groningen. Now, I'm like, look, you know, I come home, I'm broke. I'm like, look, I'm not necessarily broke. I still have a little bit of money, but not enough money. I only made about $7,500 my first year total because I wasn't making that much money, you know. And by the time July came, I was already down to like 3,000, 4,000, whatever the case is. And I'm like, dude, I need some money. So, so by the end of July, like July 20th, 21st, or whatever the case is, I get another call like, look, man, I think this will help you really, this help your career. Just sign a 1 year deal here. I think you can go far with this coach. He'll bring the best out of you. You can make more money, yada, yada, yada. All right. So by then, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. So I signed a deal like July 21st. So I'm leaving to go basically 9 days later. Not even that, but like 6 days later. So I'm like, wait, they want me there when? Yeah, he wants you there on the 20, like the 29th or 28th. I just signed the contract on the 21st. So like I'm like, dude, I got 6 days to get all my stuff. So yeah, you got basically 5 or 6 days, you know. And I get like I said, I get a call on 23rd saying I got to leave by the 27th, right? So all right, that's no problem. Fine. Um, at least I'll be getting some money. I mean, I never been overseas on my birthday. So I was overseas when my birthday was, when my birthday came. I'm never overseas that early. So I'm over there. Like I said, July 30th, we were practicing, like full practice, 2 hour practice with the coach. I'm the quote unquote big American import that comes in, whatever. But they have a big European import that comes in named Valmo Kliza. He's, you know, big European import. So, it's me and him, right? And they know me because I played there last year, played, in the league last year. They don't know him, but they know his name because he's a national team guy. He played on the Estonian national team. So I'm over there, practicing, going hard. Like the difference between overseas and NBA is that overseas they want you in shape, like in shape, like basically in regular season shape. With this coach anyway, he does like so. The first day I remember like we had 11 guys, right, and literally two guys quit. Two guys quit the first day of practice. They was like, I quit. I can't do this. This is insane. So they literally, two Dutch guys, they literally quit. They just can't handle it. So I'm like, man, like dudes quitting the first day? This ain't a good sign. So they bring in some more guys, and then we know it's me and another American. I can't even think of his name. He was there preseason, and he was a good player, really, really good player, talented. But the coach didn't like him, so he sent him home. And in the midst of him sending him home, he brought in a bunch of other Americans. Like I mean, like because he wanted at least three of us, 3 to 4 of us. He only brought two of us in at the one in the beginning, but like he cut the so it was just me. And so like what happened was like before he cut him, he was practicing and like he didn't. This is before he cut him, and so he had another American come in who was like super athletic come in, got cut. He had another guy, another American come in. I remember he practiced one time and got cut. I was like, I ain't, that was just a wasted trip. You spent money for nothing. He came in one practice, got cut. Um, and then we got this person named Gary Buchanan from Villanova. So I remember him from college. Really good player, really good shooter. He made it. And it was me and him, and then they were trying to find another American, but they couldn't. And so, like, it was like guys come in, guys come out, guys fly in, guys fly out. And a lot of these teams, they do that. They bring Americans in, and if they don't like them, they cut them. You be thinking it's a full guaranteed contract, and it's not. It's just they come in and cut you when they want to cut you. So, my coach at the time was like, he ain't playing no games. So he had the autonomy just to be like, he doesn't work hard, cut him. He doesn't, he doesn't make crisp passes, cut him. And like the organization just had to deal with it. They just had to deal with what he was as a coach or what he was as a person because of his success record, his track record. So the preseason's going like I'm destroying because I'm like he ain't cutting me. so so basically, we playing all these games. I'm scoring like 35 points, 15 rebounds. So you ain't cutting me. You ain't cutting me. We winning. I'm like, yeah, you ain't about to cut me. So um, after that, like we're just like, me and Gary's doing this thing. I told him, look, bro, like if you want to stay on this team, kill right now, kill every day. Don't let up until the season starts. So we both killing. Americans come in, come out. Foreign players come in, come out. We must have had I don't even know how many dudes he brought in, then he cut, he bring in, then he cut. He must have cut about at least 15 guys, maybe 20 in like 2 months. From July to September, about 15 to 20 guys was cut, brought in to cut. Americans, Europeans, all that. And some of them dudes are talented, super talented. So, you know, now the money's better and the season starts. And since, like we're okay, we're learning our way. We're learning his way. We're kind of like Hoosiers, kind of learning his way. And like, he bringing guys. And like I said, we was winning, but we weren't really winning. We were winning and losing. We were winning games, but then we had a big cut, like we're meaning like three guys or two guys left. Like we had an American named Brent Bailey. Then we had another dude, a Dutch dude named Chu DePaula. Then we had another dude, I can't even think of his name. So we were already down to about 9 guys. He just stuck with 9 guys. He didn't bring anybody in when the season start. After he cut so many 20 guys, in between July and September. And so we're down to like 6 or 7, 6.5, because it was he had a junior, and he never played him because he just never played because he was a junior. And what a junior player is overseas is like a player that is like on a youth team, but they play him with the pros too, kind of like a G League player, essentially. So like he's a G League player, so he never plays them. So we were down to like 6 guys essentially. And so for a whole month, because they left in December, because he cut Brent, and Brent was a good player, and Brent was there. It was me, Gary, Brent. But like he was trying to bring in another American from us out of us three, but he was just like he couldn't find it. So all the players he cut, like Brent, he kept because Brent worked hard. But he was just like Brent ain't the dude, cut him. So after like 3 months, he cut him. Chudapala, one of the best players, best Dutch players, young players, quit and went to another team. And then another player quit too. So we were down, like I said, to 6 players with the junior, 6.5 with the junior, or six, no, 7, but like really 6 because they only played 6. So we played for like a whole month, 6 players. But, uh, you know, like we were practicing also 2.5 hours with 6 players. So we practiced 6 players like we practiced with 10. So we were doing 3-man weaves. Like instead of doing up and back 3-man, we were doing up and back twice or 3 times, up and back twice, 3 times. And like there was always an odd number, so somebody always had to go, 6 straight times of 3-man weave layups. And if you drop it, you start over. You had to run. If you can dunk, you had to dunk everything. So I was like, this is insane. This is completely, we're practicing with 6 players, right? So, but what it did was made us chisel. Like the 6 that we had, the 6 original ones of us, like we were so chiseled. We were just like made of granite because like we went through a whole month of winning games with six players, you know. And so for me, that year I led the league in minutes. I led the league in minutes by a mile because I was playing the whole first quarter. He would sub me for 2 minutes in the second. I would play the 18 minutes by the first half. I would play 18 minutes. I would play essentially 9 minutes in the third. He would sub me in the third for last minute, get ready to play whole fourth. So I was playing about out of a 40-minute game, I was playing about 37 minutes, 38 minutes, 37 minutes, whatever it was. So um, that was needless to say, that's when I was on my skinniest ever. Now, to backtrack a little bit, my girlfriend at the time, she came to live with me, for about 3 months. And so like she lived with me overseas and like it was cool. It was the best time because like I got a chance to share my world with her, you know. Now in December, um, I went home for Christmas break, you know, and she went home for Christmas break, but then when it was time to go, she didn't want to come back. She was like, I don't want to just do. She didn't want to stay with me, because she wasn't making any money. She was kind of bored. I mean, I was the one playing basketball. I was the one, hooping and practicing. I would come home. I would see her when I would come home, but I would be so tired from practice. I didn't want to go anywhere. A lot of times I just want to chill in the house. And like, so she got used to it, but like then she just like she couldn't live without making something or contributing something to the thing. I was giving her money, but like she just didn't feel it. She wasn't feeling it. So I was like, all right, it is what it is, um, so like when I came back, I was just like, I'm gonna just lock in, focus on ball. I ain't gonna worry about her. I ain't gonna worry about nobody. And so when we came back from this, came back from the break, we were winning. We were probably like in 7th place or something like that. And then they made a big signing. The team did, It was a player who led the league in scoring the year before. And ironically, his name was Travis Young. Now, Travis was a tremendous player, um, tremendous scorer. Probably one of the best little scorers I've ever seen. Travis was like 5'9", 5'10", but he was stocky, fast, can hit shots, hit the three, dribble off, get to the basket, make and ones. he was super nice as a player. And I, like I said, I played against him. I played with him, so he was super duper nice. And then we signed him. I was like, let's get it. All right, that's a heck of a sign, and we gonna be like Shaq and Kobe. So like Gary was there too. We had me, him, Gary. We had the three Americans, and so with him, we just went on a roll. We started winning all of our games, and we was like in seventh place. We went all the way from seventh to we went all the way from seventh to third. And we were just because we were rolling. We were beating everybody. We were beating the number one team. The only team that we beat consistently that year that was the top team was a team called Amsterdam, which was the coach's former team. My coach both former team, so he knew all the players. He knew how they played. So we just game planned and just made sure that we knew they knew exactly what their tendencies was. They had a player who was quote unquote the MVP of the league last year, even though I felt I should have got it, named Joe Spinks. He was the MVP, and like I said, like he knew how to play him, he knew how to work him. It was just a situation where, you know, we just knew how to beat him. We beat him like 3 out of 4 times. We beat him like in their house. We beat him in our house. We just beat him. Period. And so I remember like we played them like the one of the first games of Travis' first game. And I remember like we played them and we just smacked them in our house. It was a packed game. They were a first place team, and like we smacked them. And like I said, like we was just like, okay, well, we about to roll. So for like from December to April, because that's when the regular season ended. We like I said, we just crept up the standings. Like crept up. From seventh to sixth to five to four to three. We just crept up ahead of everybody. And like I said, we had beat the number one team, which was Amsterdam. We beat the number two team, which is uh, I can't even think of what the number two team name was. The defending champion. They were two. But yeah, it was just we just like I said, we rolled, and the money was just a lot different. Like obviously when you going from 1,500 to about 4,000, you start stacking a little bit. You feeling good about yourself. You look in your bank account, you got like 15,000, 20,000, 30,000. Because you putting. I was super cheap overseas. Well, not the first couple months, because like when I was with my ex girlfriend, not the first couple months. I wasn't super cheap with her, but well, I was kind of cheap with her, but not super cheap. Now I was super cheap when she left, so I was sending 3,500 home, something like that. So, and with her, I was sending about 2,500 home. So I was still sending money. I just wasn't sending all my money. I was spending about 3,000 with her, maybe yeah, about 25 3,000. And then when she left, I was like, okay, well I'm about to send I'm about to send 3,500 home and just live off 1,000, every month. We got paid, once a month. It wasn't like in 2 weeks or whatever, like how it is in the States. So, so by the time I knew it, I was like, shoot, I'm up, 30, like 20,000, 30,000. I ain't never seen that much in my bank account. I was so happy. Anyway, um, so, in April, we play a game, we win it. Um, and terrible news happened. Travis gets hurt. And we thinking it's like a knee sprain or something, you know, but it's not. It's it's a torn ACL or a torn knee where he couldn't play. He was out for the rest of the season. It was like 3 months. So like damn, I'm devastated because like now, like how are we gonna win the championship without him? You know. Now, just to go let you know about Holland, right? Holland is a great country. They have different cuisines that people might think is disgusting, but if you try it, it ain't. terrible. They have what you call two things. They have hot fries with mayonnaise, hot mayonnaise. And before you say because I said when I first got there. And then, you know, when you coming out of the club at like 4 or 5 in the morning, you're like, you know what, this ain't that bad.